What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here at GSD Mode Studios with another weekly real estate tip. And today I am here to talk with you about accountability. More specifically, how to hold yourself accountable to your goals and daily actions. So real quick, before I jump on into the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Click below, hit subscribe. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so that way you're alerted for all the future videos and content that we create to make sure that you do not miss out on these amazing tips. So anyway, the topic at hand, self-accountability. So, every single week I get multiple surveys from real estate agents all over the planet. We're always surveying, right? We're doing our discovery calls to see if the Mastery Bootcamp is a fit for them, answer questions that they have, plus members that jump in the program are doing specific surveys. Plus I'm doing a lot of surveys. You probably partaked in a survey if you've been, if you're on one of my email lists. I'm always sending them out, just seeing what kind of content you want to hear in different ways. And one of the questions I always ask is, what is the biggest obstacle as a real estate entrepreneur or just general entrepreneur? What is the biggest obstacle that you're currently facing inside your business that if you could overcome this, you'd be crushing your goals? And one of the biggest, most popular responses is accountability. Like when we ask in one of our survey questions of what are you looking for in a real estate coach, right? Again, I get accountability over and time again. So I know that this is a really popular thing for a lot of people, but the framework, and this is just my personal belief system from my experience of being in the entrepreneurship game for 14 plus years and creating the successes that I've created in my real estate business and other ventures is, again, this is just the wrong framework to operate by, right? We cannot rely on others to hold us accountable. You cannot create a successful business. I've never met any successful entrepreneur, anybody that's successful in any venue, whether that be entrepreneurship, athletics, whatever it may be, that's become a very high achiever by relying on other people to hold them accountable, right? So instead of, we've just got to switch the framework, switch the question around. Instead of looking for a coach or somebody else to hold you accountable, the question then becomes, well, how do I hold myself accountable? You must become self-accountable, and this becomes so important. Think about it as you become a leader inside your business. Yeah, right? When you're a solopreneur, it's just you. It's a different game, a different story, right? But then you start hiring staff, and you start growing a business, a true business. You start growing a large organization. You might get to the point where you have dozens, if not, multiple dozens or hundreds of employees or people that work directly for you. And when you get to that level, right, as you're leading by example, you have to hold yourself accountable, right? Like if I'm holding other people accountable inside my organization, or we have systems in place that hold other people accountable, right? Well, I have to lead by example. If I expect them to be accountable to their workmen, I have to then be the most accountable person inside the organization. But there is a process and a system to do this, and this is what I'm going to map out with you guys here. So step number one, let's just break this down, because if you know me very well, if you've watched any of these episodes in the past, I'm all about systems and processes. I never rely on willpower, never rely on discipline. Half the time I don't rely on drive even, right? Because there's days that I'm driven, I'm motivated, I want to get up and work and grind. And then there's days where I don't feel like doing shit. Right? But I still have to perform on those days, right? So I rely very heavily on environment, systems, processes, and even my environment is really a system, right? So step number one in order to accomplish this is you must get clarity on what it is that you want, right? So if we break this down, get clarity on what you want. So, and what I recommend to start, and again, this is, I forgot the clarity up here as I was writing, but what I recommend to start with here is start thinking about lifestyle first, right? So this is a big mistake that I made early on in my business is I spent the first few years when I first jumped into entrepreneurship at the age of 23, I was just sick of being broke. I never made more than like $10 an hour, W-2 jobs, right? Had multiple jobs, never made more than, with multiple jobs combined, more than like 30 grand a year. And I was just sick and tired of always being broke, always struggling, just barely getting by. And I just wanted to make some money. So I jumped into real estate and I started making money. And within a couple of years, 2-3 years, I'm making more money than I had ever fathomed I would be making even when I jumped into this space. but I was miserable. Man, I'm working 4 a.m. to midnight. I was under so much pressure, so much stress. I lost all quality of life to the point where I was like ready to just peace out with all of it and go back to being broke, right? Like I was more happy being broke than I was even though I had the money. Now I didn't want to leave the money, right? So thank God I didn't leave, didn't quit. But what I discovered going through this process as I was looking through for a solution was, again, with a focus of, because you wind up with wherever your focus is at. So my focus was just money. It never was around lifestyle. And that's when the game really changed for me. So then I got to the point where I really started focusing on lifestyle first and then building a business that would allow me to live the life I want to live, right? It's like I'm willing to put in the blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice, time, risk, all of these things into a business, but at some point it's got to give back to me. Right? So the only way to do that is like, look, I need a business that pays me the money I want to make, but also gives me the time and freedom and autonomy to do what I want, when I want, with the people I want. Like it's gotta have a two-way street here. So think about lifestyle first, right? And it's hard to think about, well, what would my perfect life be, right? So just think about like the perfect day, right? Like what would the perfect day be? And when you're starting to break this down, be like, okay, hey, I'd wake up at this time. This is how I would feel. Right? Here's how my relationships would be with those that matter most to me. Here's the type of shape that I would be in. Here's what I would, just try to visualize this stuff. Here's what I would look like when I pull my shirt off in front of the mirror. Here's what I would look like. Here's the type of energy that I would have, right? Again, here's what my relationship would be like if I had the ideal day. Here's how I would connect with my wife or your husband, right? Here's how I'd connect with my kids, right? So here's the time I wake up. Here's how I feel. What's the first thing that I do? What's the second thing that I do? Hit the gym, get into the office, involved in these meetings, doing this. Right? Because here's the thing, like you might think that you want to retire and building this. Like when I first jumped into this, and a lot of entrepreneurs this happens to, which is a good thing, not a negative, right? But my goal was to just go balls to the wall, hardcore, 7 years, be done, and be retired for the rest of my life. And then as I was going through that journey, I realized, man, I love entrepreneurship. I can't fathom ever stopping, right? But it becomes, it can be hard to visualize that when you're stuck doing tasks that you fucking hate each and every day, right? But eventually, as you build a business, right? Because you continue to fire yourself in every role that you make, and you start firing yourself from the lowest money making activities, then you're starting to fire yourself from then the things that aren't your strengths, that you don't like. So you eventually, as you build this, get to a point where your focus and time and energy is spent on the things that you really love doing, that you are really good at, that is your superpower, if you will, right? So that's when it gets good, man, right? So the payoff can be huge there. So what does that perfect day look like? Again, think about those relationships. Think about what you would do when you roll into the office, type of clients that you work with, where you'd be working from, all of that stuff, right? So start thinking about the lifestyle plan. Then from there, the next step, once you have clarity on that, is, okay, what type of a business do I need to build? Like what type of a business would allow me to do that? So again, for me, the two things that really stuck out to me when I was doing this, and again, I'm not sharing this to try to get you to adopt my visions for my life and for what I want. I'm just sharing this to hopefully give an example that it might help. Like I'm not a creative person, so I need examples that I can build off of, right? So for me, I really boil it down to two things, because it was like, it's easy to sit there and like bust out the health stuff, easy for me to bust out the relationship stuff and with my kids. That's kind of the easy stuff. But then when I start thinking of business, man, that's a little bit tougher. So I knew that there was two things that I just wanted to be in full control of, right? And not just with my business, but with everything, which was freedom of location and freedom of schedule. Right? So freedom of location, meaning, look, I love to work. I want to work. I always, retirement is probably the only curse word in my vocabulary. But I want to be able to do it from anywhere I want to do it from. Yeah, right? So, okay, with step one with the perfect lifestyle would be freedom of location. So I can travel, do all the things that I want to do. I was just in Hawaii for 8 days, but like I'm getting up early, hitting the gym, cranking out some work, still doing webinars, still doing podcasts, doing all that, then spending, 8-10 hours out on the beach playing, right? Like things didn't stop. It's just like, I'm just living life. I can be anywhere doing what I want to do when I want to do it, right? Then from there, I wanted freedom of schedule. So, and then with this, this doesn't mean that, again, I don't want to work. This just means, hey, I got maybe these 3 or 4 big tasks I got to do today. Well, if I want to do them at 9 a.m., if I want to do them at noon, if I want to do them at 11 p.m., like they need to get done and they need my attention and focus and energy, right? But I'm not on, like I don't have to show up at this place at this time, right? I can just get them done whenever I want to knock them out throughout the day. Yeah, right? And for me, like I'm an early riser. I love getting up super early in the morning. Not that I love when my alarm goes up at 3 a.m., but like I like to just get up, get all that shit done. Like I get more accomplished by 8 a.m. than most people do in a whole entire day, right? Then I got the whole day to do whatever the hell I want, right? So I wanted freedom of schedule, freedom of location, right? So and the cool thing about this, you guys, is this then allows you, this is what I call, this becomes like your North Star, you know, or your compass, if you will, and your business decisions, business and life decisions, yeah, right? Look, all the decisions that I have to make need to align with these, right? So let's just say I'm coming up with a new meeting infrastructure in my business or whatever. And again, this is, you might be thinking like, Josh, what does that do with accountability? This is the sort of you being accountability to making the right decisions of accomplishing your vision. Yeah, right? Because you gotta always ask yourself, like, what am I being held accountable for? Yeah, right? Well, like, oh, get in the office at this time, leave at this time. Like, you know, I do these certain things. Well, why do you have to do those things? Like, you got to know why you're doing them, what you're doing them for. Yeah, right? And then it becomes, when you know, right? It's like you got maybe your yearly goals that you have, right? And those goals then get you one step closer, like whatever kind of money you make. Let's just say your yearly goal is to make $500,000 this year, right? Well, it's not the 500 grand. It's what does that provide for you with your lifestyle, with your family, you know, right? And that takes it a step deeper. I mean, that's really your purpose. Like, what are you going to do with it? You know, right? Like, what does that mean for you? And how does it adjust your life, you know, right? When you hit that goal, and that taps into your purpose, right? So then from there, like when you're making decisions that are congruent with that, right? This is you being accountable to building a life truly worth living, right? So I want to start making decisions that align with these. So going back to the whole meeting thing, you know, right? Like I've had to be very careful with scheduling and setting up our meeting structure, setting up our, you know, onboarding and training processes, you know, right? Like making sure that everything is set up where it can be done virtually. It can be done all through Zoom and through online training and you know, like with our separate offices, everything is set up with essentially virtual classrooms, Zoom videos, you know, right? Like I don't have to physically be anywhere, any one location to run these. So I had to, you know, slowly over time and strategically make those small decisions to make this happen, right? So that's really important to get clarity on, because again, success. I shouldn't say again, haven't dropped this on this episode, but success is just small, or how success is achieved is just small, tiny, right decisions made each and every day that compound over time. All right, so then step 2 is to create your yearly plan, right? So when I say, the reason I'm saying yearly plan and not business plan is, yeah, right? Like, okay, hey, I'm part of this, I'm gonna have my business plan, you know, right? I might have my health and fitness plan, right? I might have a vacation fun plan. Yeah, right? Like create your yearly plans for the next year, whatever that looks like. Then from there, and that's all pretty basic, pretty easy stuff to come up with, right? Step 3, now real quick though, with your yearly plans, and this is something that's really important, so I don't want to brush over this, right? Make these the basic actions that you need to accomplish to make your goal a reality. Right? So like this isn't going to be a lot of strategy, because look, dude, if you are trying to map out your whole entire strategy for the whole entire year and try to predict 12 months ahead of time with technology and just the pace and speed of change, you know, right? It's like, dude, you can't, you're just fucking mentally masturbating here, you know, right? Like you're just jerking off, dude. Like none of that's, it's going to change so many times. It's not even worth the effort. Right? So I'm looking at this, I'll just use a business plan as an example, right? I'm looking at this of, okay, how many leads do I need to get? So number of leads to accomplish this for the next year, right? How many appointments do I need to set? How many appointments do I need to conduct? You know, how many clients, or if you're team leader, broker owner, this might be agent recruits, you know, how many conversations with your follow-up, and you know, how many reach outs, right? I mean, this is Like this is just what must happen to make this other goal a reality based on facts and data. So then I know, okay, here's the targets yearly. Then now I can break that down quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. So now I know those targets I need to hit. Like you might figure out that, okay, every single day I need 27 leads. Maybe you got to do 225 reach outs. Maybe you got to have 30 conversations, right? Of that, you got to set, 5 appointments, whatever it may be. Of the 5 appointments, you got to conduct, 3, right? And then take 2 clients, right? Like maybe this is your daily winning plan, Monday through Friday. Well, each and every day though now, I can break this down and then I know each and every day what needs to happen, right? So, because a lot of people they're like, oh, I need accountability, but they don't have a concrete plan. They don't have a concrete path, right? It's like, let's just say you're gonna want to start investing in paper assets and you go meet with a stockbroker and they're like, oh, well, I need you to give me, 40 grand a year. Well, that's a big pill to swallow, right? And don't fact check me here because this math will be way off because I'm just pulling this out of my ass. But if they just said to you, okay, every day when you wake up, I need you to pull $47 out of your wallet and give it to me. If you do that over X amount of time, this will then compound and equate to the amount of money that whatever it is that you want over that period of time. Well, that becomes something that now is broken down to bite sizes that's very doable because now I can plan for each and every day and budget on a daily basis. That's what this is allowing you to do, right? So then from there, and this is really important, you guys. So I've got that in place. Then step 3 is a becoming plan. So success, like this is the doing plan. Now you need to set up the becoming plan. And this is much more, they're both really important, but this trumps all, right? Success is not near as much a doing process as it is a becoming process. So you got to start asking yourself, okay, whom must I become to make this a reality, right? Like let's just say you're making 200 grand a year and you want to be making 800 grand a year. Yeah, right? Well, the person that makes 200 grand a year isn't the same person making 800K a year. You got to become somebody different at every growth level. So you got to identify, okay, hey, what are the habits? What are the rituals? What are the behaviors, right? What are the routines of somebody that's making 800 grand a year? And you got to model after those. So think of the becoming plan. Okay, well, hey, I've got to start getting up at this time every morning. I got to self-develop for X amount of hours. I've got to be more disciplined in these arenas. Right? And how do I come up with this? I just find people that are achieving the goals that I want to achieve, and I find out, again, what their daily habits, rituals, disciplines, and behaviors are, because we got to adopt those first. It's just like if you go to the gym and you see somebody has the perfect body that you want to acquire, they're in the shape that you want to be in, right? The only way you're going to get in that shape and match that same shape is to identify, hey, what's your supplementation plan? What's your workout regimen? What's your sleep schedule? How much water are you drinking? What's your diet plan? Like you got to break all of that down and then start adopting those same behaviors, rituals, plans and disciplines. And then after 2, 3, 4 years of putting that work, boom, you now have matched that same body. Right? It's the same thing. You want to become a liquid millionaire, let's just say. Well, you got to start acting as if you're a liquid millionaire right now. Right? Like you have to start leading with the habits, rituals, and processes way before the fruits actually show up. So you got to create your becoming plan and get very clear on that. So real quick, you guys, just out of curiosity, and I'd love to get your feedback on this. I'd love to hear if you comment below, and I know I'm kind of interrupting the process here, but I'd love to hear what your becoming plan is. Right? Or if you're hung up or stuck on this, I can give you any insights or feedback, give you some ideas. So if you're stuck on this, because this is huge, right? So my mentor, Darren Hardy, who was mentored by Jim Rohn, right? Like if he went to Jim Rohn, so one year this actually happened, when he goes to Jim Rohn, he's like, all right, hey, here's my goals for the next year. Right? Here's my goals, here's my plan. And Jim Rohn just kind of glanced at it and just handed it back to him and said, it's never going to happen. And Darren's like, whoa. He's like, that wasn't the reaction I was expecting. Like, that's not really inspirational of you, right? He's like, it's actually the opposite of what he expected. And Jim Rohn is like, no, first come to me with your becoming plan, right? Like, if you don't have your becoming plan and you don't have a plan to become the person that's capable of achieving these goals are never going to happen. You're just wasting your damn time. You're just chasing butterflies. Come to me with your becoming plan first Then I will review your business plan. And if the becoming plan matches that, then you're good to go. Right? So we totally shut them down for that. So, and we all know the successes that Jim Rohn and of course Darren Hardy have had, and others that Jim Rohn mentored, like Tony Robbins, right? So get your becoming plan together. Comment below. I'd love to hear what some of your plans are over the next 12 months for your becoming plan. And again, anywhere that you're stuck, love to help you out and help get you dialed in there. All right, so now that we have that, the next step 4, is then your weekly planning session. So I'm actually gonna erase all of this so I can put this up here. Because now this is where we start getting tactical, right? And start busting down a little bit more with the processes. So, and let's just say you're gonna do this every Sunday, and I recommend every Sunday, right? Now, because again, now you got your life plan, your life vision, if you will, together. You know what the lifestyle, like again, what living a life worth living looks like. That you're truly fulfilled, truly, have joy, operating to your core values, all of that stuff, and you're building a business around that, right? So when you're doing that, and I actually call this my GSD mode outcomes for getting shit done, right? So I always set my GSD mode outcomes for the year, like based on my life goals and plans and my yearly business plans, right? I set like, okay, hey, what is the one thing that must happen in each element of my life that trumps everything else? Right? And I'll set this up for business. So one for business, one for health, one for my marriage, and then one for my kids, right? And if you have other things on there that matter to you, you can put that in there too, right? But like, what's the one thing, if you got this one thing accomplished, your business, like at the end of that year, you can reflect back, like, hell yeah, I won that year, right? This might be netting $1 million for you, whatever it may be. Your health might be, lose 20 pounds, get to X body fat, right? Your marriage might be a deeper, I don't know, mental connection and whatever. Kids might be, whatever. You come up with those on your own, right? That's your journey, not mine. We all got to come up with our own. So then when I look at this, so my Sunday planning, right? Of course, I'm always paying attention to this and I'm looking at these, but the reason that I'm looking at these outcomes for each when I'm going through my weekly plan on Sunday. So my weekly plan on Sunday is number one, I'm reflecting on the previous week while I'm looking at these, plus my life vision, plus my yearly plans, and then I've got my GSD mode outcome, I have outcomes here because I have one for business, one for health, right? So this might be an income goal, this might be an energy management goal, and so forth, right? But each of these only has one outcome, one priority, right? Like again, this one thing happens, it's a win. So I'm reflecting on the previous week, and I'm just looking at every meeting, every task I was involved in, and I'm just seeing how I did for the past week. Right? Was everything I involved in getting me one step closer to accomplishing these outcomes? Right? Is it congruent? Because if it's not, right, like it was a waste of time and I need to get it off my schedule, right? And make sure that it doesn't get on there again. So I'm looking to not just get through the week. This is how I get from it and improve, right? So then I'm going to plan the next week. So I'm going to look at my calendar. I'm going to look at all the tasks that I have to do. And I'm going to look at each of these. And as I'm going through each one, right, I'm going to put down, okay, like this is getting me one step closer to that, that's important. This is getting me one step closer, that's important. This one, give me one step closer, to one of these, that's important. This one right here, nope. This meeting or this task doesn't allow me to accomplish any of these, right? So I'm gonna do everything I can to give it the X, right? First, before I give the X, I'll ask myself, hey, is there anything that if I don't do this, it could have a negative consequence, right? So you don't wanna, hurt yourself there. So now we've got that plan done there with that. Then I've created a self-accountability tracker for these big things, right? So it's an Excel sheet, and this is part of my weekly planning process where I've got, okay, hey, for my business, these big 3 things need to happen in my business, right? And on here it has the weekly frequency, this is kind of my big rock items, if you will. Like it might be, okay, hey, for my health, I got to hit the gym 5 times this week. I need to intermittent fast 3 times this week. Right? I need to sleep at least 6 hours every night, right? So it differs based on the thing and the frequency, but I built out a Google Drive tracker each week that I fill out based on these things. All right, so again, based on those things, I've got this now. Now this is part of holding me accountable. This is a system that holds me accountable. All of this process, reflecting and all this planning, is an element of accountability, right? Because of course, you got to hold yourself accountable to do it each week. But at the end of the day, guys, accountability is really just an integrity thing. Yeah, right? When I mean integrity, it's like, look, are you out of integrity with your own goals, visions, and dreams for your life? If you're not doing this stuff and you're not being methodical and intentional with it, then you're not in congruency with what you want. You're lacking integrity with your own self. You're not doing the things that you said you were going to do. So that means one of two things, right? That means you either don't want what you say that you want and you really don't give a shit, right? Because your actions show what you truly value, not your words, right? So you either don't want it, or if you do want it, like, you just then need to eliminate the choice of thinking that you can or can't do this stuff. Yeah, it's like I tell real estate agents all the time that most real estate agents have a very difficult time tracking their numbers. You know, right? And they're like, hey man, how do I combat the chatter in my mind of doing this or not doing this thing, you know, right? Of tracking. I'm like, look, dude, you just got to eliminate the choice. You think you have a choice, but you don't, right? Like, you just got to pick and choose right now. Either you want to create a successful business or you don't. If you want to, you track your numbers every single day, and it's not an option, right? It's like, as much as like breathing air, eating food, sleeping, like it's non-negotiable. You just fucking do it. And if you don't, then you just understand that you're not going to create success, right? So you just eliminate the choice and just go out there and do it and stay in integrity with this. All right, so, but then each and every day as these things are happening, like, okay, every day I go to the gym, like I have my Monday check off, Tuesday check off, and I always have this tab open on my computer, you know, right? So I'm checking each one off every single week. So this is, you know, an action and kind of a habit guide each day that I have to just make sure that I'm checking these things off the list, things that I'm not forgetting, these different things, whatever. Then from there, lastly, I spend 30 minutes every single day in a planning and reflection session. And you guys, this Sunday session takes hour, 1 hour, maybe two max, depending on how many projects I have that week. Most times it's an hour. This is 30 minutes a day. And as Abraham Lincoln said, give me an axe in 6 hours to chop down a tree. I'll spend my first 4 hours sharpening the axe, right? And the quote signifies the importance of planning. I would rather work 30 minutes less a day and have a defined plan, right? Where I'm focusing on making sure that I'm not getting distracted from my outcomes, right? And I'm making the right moves, taking the right actions. So each and every day, and I do this at 5:30 p.m. every single night. So 5:30 to 6 p.m. every night. And I like to do it the evening before because it helps me sleep good at night because I know then what I'm doing the next day. And just find a lot of power in that, right? So it also kind of bookends my day, which I like. So first step is, because let's just say I've got my plan for today already set up. So I'm going to go through the planning part second, right? So at 5:30 p.m., the first thing that I do is I review the plan. Like, here's all the things I had in place for the plan that I had today. Like, these are the things I had to execute on. And you guys, and when it comes to this, and this is what I find to be really important, because again, man, when I start thinking of the week, the month, the year, it gets really overwhelming. Got all the shit we got to do, you know, all these things that we got to accomplish. It becomes overwhelming. So for me, man, I just live my life 18 hours at a time. Yeah, right? It's like, look, I'm going to sleep 6 hours. I got 18 hours to kick ass. And dude, I can go hard and kick ass for 18 hours. Yeah, right? If all I'm thinking about is the next 18 hours of my life, that is it. Yeah, right? And I just live in these 18-hour windows, right? Well, like, we can all go pretty hard and be a rock star for that 18 hours. Or maybe if you sleep a little bit, whatever it may be for you. But that's like, I'm just living my life one day at a time, right? So and this is personal and business. Like, so I got like, okay, what's my workout plan for the day? What's my meditation plan? What's my self-development plan? What's my family plan? What is all the business shit? I got all my tasks I need to do on there, my most critical numbers for the day. And I have this printout. It's a 6-page document that I personally created for my own, to match my business and what I do. The first 3 pages is planning, last 3 pages is the reflection, right? So here is everything that I had to do to make today a win. Like this would be my perfect day, right? So I start with the reflection though, right? Like so then now in the second half of the document is I'm reporting on how I actually did, right? So I'm looking at everything I got involved in. Is everything congruent here? If not, let me learn from it, make sure it doesn't happen again, right? Then from there, I'm looking at the actual commitments that I had, right? Commitments, how much by when? Okay, I had these tasks that I get done today. Did I get them done? If not, like I have days and times where I don't hit all my tasks that I get done that day. And commitments, right? Well, I'm reflecting and learning why they didn't get done, right? Well, what could I have done better to make sure those get done? And I've got some deep reflection questions that I go through. There are some gut check questions, like if my kids and wife shadowed me all day at the office today, and we're just a fly in the wall, would they be proud of my performance or disappointed? Right? Like so just some gut check questions, right? So then once I've reflected and I've grown, now I'm going to plan out the next perfect day, right? So this again, I just went through this with you, but this is, okay, hey, what's my self-development plan? What's my workout plan, meditation plan? What's my family plan? If I need to get some R&R in, what that looks like, right? Like if I need to get some R&R in, I need to take a pause, like it's gonna be on my calendar, I'm gonna plan it. Right? Again, I don't separate this, it's just life. What's all the shit I gotta get done in my business, right? I'm also keeping this front of mind always to make sure that all of these are on there, right? So, but then I know, because this is done at 6 o'clock every night, so when I go to bed and my alarm goes off, I then know from the second I wake up to the second I go to bed what I must execute on, what must happen in every aspect of my life to make that day a win, right? And then I just repeat. So again, this is just a system and a process, and again, hold yourself accountable to it. You've got to be in integrity with what needs to be done for you to become the person and to each and every day get one step closer to accomplish your goals. So you want to be in integrity with your own self, meaning honoring your own commitments and living by your own code, and just eliminate the fucking choice that this is an option. I'm telling you right now, this daily planning reflection is the most powerful daily thing I've ever done in my life to have the biggest impact. Like this is such a game changer. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass at first, right? But then after 6 months, whatever, it becomes such a routine. Because that's the thing, like with accountability, you only got to push through for 6 months. It's only going to be work for 6 months or less. Then very quickly, it just becomes routine. It just becomes automatic, right? It just becomes a habit. And habits are just done without you thinking about them, right? So this is the overall process. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, real quick, GSD Mode podcast, you guys, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We release our podcast interviews. So you can come back here to the YouTube channel or check us out at gsdmode.com to watch our top entrepreneur and top real estate professional interviews, where I interview top badasses out there just doing big things. Every single Thursday, these real estate tips are released. So come back every Thursday, check these out. You'll see a new one released every single Thursday on this channel. Again, if you subscribe, hit that bell, you'll be automatically alerted of these so you won't miss one. And then every single Tuesday, I do my leveling up episodes, which is all mindset stuff, right? So make sure to check those out as well. And one last thing, make sure to check out gsdmode.com, where you can see a lot of free, great content like this, as well as a bunch of additional bonuses and training and content on there that I know that you like. So make sure to check us out at gsdmode.com. Make sure to join the GSD Mode private Facebook group. We've got 12,000 plus, at least time of creating this video, real estate agents and entrepreneurs from all over that are in there, like-minded individuals. Well, we're just mastermind with a very strict no selling policy, so you don't have to worry about being spammed and sold in there. Anybody tries to post anything for sale, we kick, delete, remove them right away. So we're really strict on that. Safe place to be able to mastermind, level up, and grow. Also, make sure to go to 41 Tips with Joshua Smith, where you can opt in to receive 41 weeks of free coaching, in-depth, personally written email strategy tips to help you massively explode your real estate business. One last thing, make sure to check out growmyrealestatebusiness.com. Growmyrealestatebusiness.com. That is a free 2.5, 3 hour-ish long online free masterclass training, in-depth hardcore masterclass training that I just put together recently. And I'm doing that several times every single week just to, again, help you guys grow your real estate business and continue kicking ass in life. So I hope you found this helpful. Keep up the amazing work, and we'll see you next time. Peace.